welcome back to another video in the DAT series, one I honestly never thought I was going to make, and let me tell you why. And the reason I never thought I'd make this video is because QR and Gen Chem were some of my worst subjects, and I didn't do what I wanted to do studying wise, but I figured I could share my wisdom of what I wish I did and what I think could have improved my scores even more. Not to say I didn't do well. I'm starting dental school in a couple months in June at University of Michigan, so I obviously did well enough to get accepted to 4 schools, so that means that it was good enough, you know what I mean? So in this video, I'm going to be going through my tips for quantitative reasoning, general chemistry, organic chemistry, and then my big #1 overall tip for boosting your DAT score. And let me tell you, it really works. So I do have my score report here. I'll put it on the screen for you guys. But for Orgo, I did really well. I got a 23, Gen Chem was a 19, and QR was a 20. Now let me tell you that 20 in QR, like, that is amazing for me. Math was the worst subject for me on the ACT, and the fact that I could do, honestly, in my eyes, a 20 on QR is so good for me. So I was really proud of that score. And then I didn't really plan about talking about Orgo because I didn't study all that much because I studied so hard in the semesters before when I took Orgo 1 and 2 at college. But I'm still gonna share my tips for how I learned the stuff then and how I was studying. So I do also want to mention, before we get into all of this, that I do have a huge playlist about DAT and applying to dental school, and took you guys on some of my dental school interviews with me. I did vlogs, so all of that is in a playlist down below, and also I'll put it in a card right here if you want to watch it after this video. Every other subject for the DAT is on there: personal statements, choosing a dental school, where to apply, how to apply, interview tips, all of it is there. So be sure to watch it, and it'll probably answer a lot of your questions. But if there is anything you think I didn't cover yet, leave me a comment below or send me a DM on Instagram. I'm super active on there, and I will definitely answer it for you guys. So to get right into it, I'm gonna give you guys that #1 tip that I was talking about to boost your scores right away. I'm not gonna make you wait for it, especially because that's what I did to boost my scores in these 2 sections that were the hardest for me. So this tip is that you need to study your weaknesses in an organized fashion. So it's a twofold tip. So by studying your weaknesses, I mean, if there's a problem every time you go through, you just always get that wrong. For me, for a lot of the math, like, it was something as simple as like a dice roll problem, like a certain prob and stat problem that I just didn't know how to do yet. I would go and make sure that I could master that one type of problem. And that's like one drop in the bucket, one thing you know you're always gonna get it right now. Same for chemistry, like if there was a certain type of reaction that I just never knew the math for, or a certain equation, do a bunch of examples of that equation till you master it. Don't just try to go over everything that's on a practice test, all the different subjects within chemistry at once, because then you're just not absorbing anything. For me, I think like the repetition is key. So repeating the exact same type of problem a few times at the same time is really how it's gonna stick in your head. At least that's how it worked for me. So that is my main tip. Be organized and systematic with it, but you need to study your weaknesses. Don't just passively study or try to like improve even more in the thing you already get right most of the time. Like, the thing that scares you the most, makes you the most uncomfortable, is the most confusing, like, that's where you need to put time, because even if you can get that from I have no clue what this is to like usually I kind of get it right, that's so much better. Because if you have something that you're getting right most of the time, it's better to put your energy into the thing that's down here, and then they can both be level, and like that's how you get the 20, 21. If you're like someone like 16, 17, 18, 19, you know? If you want to push it into the 20s, that's what you got to do. And obviously I'm not someone that got perfect scores, 26, 27s on sciences. I did really well in reading, so I don't have really tangible tips to get you to a perfect score in any of the sciences. But if you're like me and you need to get mid-20s, hit that 20, then these are my tips. Okay, so for QR, I unfortunately do not have my notes anymore. I probably threw them in the recycle bin the minute I got home from my exam because I told you I do not like math. But this is a subject that I wish I did the strategy for general chemistry and the strategy that I told you about before. So I started doing, I made a binder and I would write out subjects, like types of problems, like I said, dice, or, oh my gosh, it's literally been so long, probability and statistics. Then the subheading would be dice rolling. And then if it was like algebra, then it would be like a certain type of algebra problem. And then heading. And then under each heading, I had all the example problems from boot camp. So I basically like dissected the boot camp tests that I've done. And each time I did a practice test or practice questions, I would categorize them into the appropriate section in those notes. And the reason I did that, like I said, is because then I would go back and the problems that I got wrong a lot, I would do all those examples a few times through, and then the time I took a new test, I'd be like, oh, this is exactly this type of question and I know how to solve it. And that was a great feeling I'd never known before. So I recommend you guys try that out, and I think just at least the way my brain works, like compartmentalizing this is this type of question and this is the way you solve it, made it so much more simple for me. And maybe people's brains already work like that if they just study a whole practice test, but mine needed to be sectioned off and I needed a few examples for it to really stick. And then for general chemistry, I pretty much just did a bunch of practice problems, but if I could go back and had enough time to and started at the beginning, I would have done the exact same strategy that I did for QR. I kind of started doing it like a week or two before my exam, but that's simply not enough time. And boot camp does, like if you go to practice questions and then go chemistry, it has it sectioned off, but like within there, just because it says acid base, like there's a few different types of acid base problems. So that's where you would take that category and then like use all the examples of this one type and this one type and this one type, if that makes sense. So I think that's the best way, again, to learn, because a lot of chemistry is math related. I think the conceptual stuff, it's better to just draw out like flow charts. I did a lot of that, whether it was on a whiteboard or just on like a study sheet that I made that I could look at and reference and try to visually remember the flow of different things or like what was stronger than the other thing. But yeah, basically for QR and for Gen Chem, practice. Honestly, same theme for Orgo, but sectioning off those problems I think is your best bet to be successful. And we're going to end with organic chemistry. Like I said, I did not study a ton for this section. I used Ari's 10-week schedule, which I mentioned in my very first video so long ago, before I even had a camera, about like how I studied for the DAT. I used Ari's 10-week schedule and made it longer, but I pretty much skipped a lot of the days or like breezed through a lot of the sections for Orgo. I'd be like, oh, looks familiar, and like went on to other things because I was so tight on time, even though I had the whole summer pretty much to study, but like I just knew my hours needed to be better spent elsewhere. But what I did to learn Orgo originally during this semester was a lot of a whiteboard. So I would write out all the reactions on a piece of paper, just like one time, each reaction, like under like alkenes, alkynes, and then like all the reactions that we need to know. And there's a PDF on Bootcamp's website, I believe, and I'm pretty sure it's free, that has all the reactions that are covered on the DAT. So I would rewrite that yourself, to be honest, because I think staring at it does nothing, in my humble opinion. So I would just literally rewrite that for yourself. And then from there, literally each section by each section. So today you're gonna do alkenes, alkynes, and alkanes? Is that the three? It's been so long, you guys. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have waited this long to make the video, but like I said, I didn't ever plan on making it, but I've been getting a lot of requests, so I figured I would do it anyways. And then like that day, that's what you're gonna tackle, and you're gonna write them on that whiteboard 50 times, like so much, till you know it like the back of your hand. It's literally just memorizing. And what was really easy, quote unquote, like I didn't get a perfect score, I'm not saying I was perfect at it, to me about the DAT Orgo section is that for my Orgo at my undergrad, it was fill in the blank. So you needed to know the exact reactant that went in that box to make this to this. So getting to the DAT, I was like, you're giving me the answer? It's one of these? Like, great, easy, like got it, because like some of them just don't make sense. And once you're going through, it is good to watch the videos on boot camp and to conceptually understand why things are happening. But usually, even if you just know very, very basic conceptual and have the rest memorized, it should pretty much jump out to you which answers which when it's right in front of you. Whether that's just memory, like, oh yeah, that's definitely that one, or if it's like, okay, well, B and C make no sense. Like that never happens with this like type of reaction ever. So those are gone. And then between A and D, like you can probably figure it out, you know, if you've studied. So that's why I found orgo to be not too bad, to be honest. But yeah, lots of repetition, whiteboarding, writing. I don't think flashcards are as helpful, but I did make them as well during undergrad, and also for the DAT, I just used the same ones because like writing is good. But another thing I did, and I would write them out, so I'd have like reactant, then like product for like the next half, and then I'd like cover the answer or cover this side, and then have to either fill in the middle between like a product and a reactant, or have to fill in the reactant, or have to fill in the product, just like different formats of it. And that's how you're gonna get asked on the DAT. Like you're gonna be missing one of these three things. So being able to do those all sorts of ways is also really important. I think that's everything for orgo though. It's pretty much exactly how you'd expect. Practice. That's all you're gonna be doing with the DAT, and it's frustrating, but it is so worth it, and it all works out. I promise you guys are gonna do great. I know this is an exceptionally trying DAT season with everything happening in the world, and I really feel for you, but I know that you can do it. So wish you the very best of luck. Again, reach out to me on Instagram in the comments if you have any questions about anything at all. I'd be so happy to help. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.